What's going on, fam? We back yet again. See, here's the thing. Heartbreak. Can you learn from it? We're not gonna be down on this episode. So we gonna talk about personal experiences, whether they're direct or indirect, because me and Carl, ours is always friends. So those are our experiences. At any rate.
You don't have to put a disclaimer out there.
I wanted to start off by, because heartbreak is one of those words or phrases people think they know about, and it might mean different things to different people, but they actually have a definition of it. And the definition says a feeling of intense sadness and emotional pain that can be caused by a loss or unrequited feelings. For those of you that don't know what unrequited, it means when you like somebody and they don't like you. So yeah, but that was the definition. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, and loss can be a relationship. It could be a job, a bad choice, anything like that. So, we're going to defer to Mr. Watts and ask him, Brandon, can you learn from heartbreak in your 29 years? You give us some wisdom. Let it rain, brother. Let it rain.
I don't know about wisdom, but
hey, you got experience.
Well, you didn't give me the disclaimer where I have the stuff too. So throw me in that disclaimer and edit that back. Y'all just got the disclaimer. So, but what can you learn from heartbreak? I need some coverage too here.
Hey, I ain't mad at you.
But I think you can learn from it. Just you really can't do a lot of research for a topic like this, but doing a lot of ruminating and thinking about it, I think it is a great learning experience, right? Because when it comes to like love relationships, you start off pretty green, right? Naive in that area. And you learn. Myself, point in case, I had some relationships I jumped in and when I was pretty green, I thought it would be all rainbows and sunshine. And then at the end, you're looking at that heartbreak point. And another good word to put in it is grief too.
Grief.
Because you gotta mourn your old relationship and then you tie that back into the heartbreak. And if you don't know how to grieve properly, you get stuck ruminating on, oh my God, what's a fake name? Jessica. There is no Jessica. But, you're ruminating on the loss of Jessica and then you're stuck in a rut. But I think you need to take that time where you are mourning, grieving that relationship and reflecting on it to learn and better yourself for the next one or learn from your mistakes. And there's other stuff I'll get to, but I won't allude.
For me though, and I have to say, when you think about what can you learn from it, even that I think is subjective because, what you may learn from a relationship that's lost, another person might not. I mean, I know for me, I'm real careful to say that, in the past I've learned from certain things. And then when we talked about this topic, I started thinking and I was all over the place because when you think about heartbreak, it's a sad connotation.
Yeah. Now,
initially you say heartbreak, I'm thinking, okay, you automatically go to the relationships where your heart was broken. So now I'm gonna flip it. Carl, let me ask you, we're going to be all over the place with this. Have you been on the other side where you have been the heartbreaker?
No. I don't know. No, I don't.
He's a good man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, that's because here's one here. Okay, and this is why I say I don't know because you said something about unrequited.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that may have been a situation where, because I've had quite a few female friends who I was friendly. I mean, we friends. Now, I don't, as far as I'm concerned, we were friends. Now, I don't know if they wanted to be more than that. And it didn't get there. And their heart was broken. I mean, nobody's ever come back to me and said, you broke my heart.
Okay.
So I don't think so.
Okay, so what has heartbreak taught you?
See, here's the thing. See what I did there? when you start talking about teaching and learning lessons, and you say things about sadness and you say things about grief, I don't necessarily want to learn from heartbreak. I want to avoid it. So a lot of people, okay, so it's like this. A lot of people say, well, if the baby touched the stove, you tell them it's not hot, but they finally touch the stove, they'll realize it's hot, and then they won't touch it no more.
It's a learned behavior.
Okay, but sometimes you can tell the baby don't touch the stove, and the baby won't touch the stove.
Some babies.
Some babies. So I say the same thing with heartbreak. If I see one of y'all going through behind, who you say? Jessica.
Tramp.
Okay.
No, I'm just
Or
playing.
Shaquisha
Psycho.
or whatever.
Ooh, Shaquisha. Okay.
And I say, I don't want that. I don't want to learn from. I learn from just visual. From like, I don't want to be like that guy.
Oh, well, okay. Hats
I don't
off to
necessarily
you
have
for
to
that
go
one.
through it.
Hats off to you for that.
And that's what I'm saying, because a lot of people don't, and I think that's what it is now. A lot of people don't even want to go through it. Like, I ain't, I ain't got no feelings, yada, yada, yada. Snoop Dogg put it a different way, but I ain't gonna say it on it.
You can say it, Carl.
But you know what? I think though that there is an opportunity to learn from it. For me, and I'll put myself out there. There have been a couple of relationships that I look back on, and while it wasn't said that I broke said individual's heart, I know, that I did, but at the time, I didn't know, and that's only because my mind was somewhere else, meaning that, a lot of times in relationships, one person feels differently than the other person does.
Mm-hmm.
And in my younger days, I was just footloose and fancy free, so I didn't know. And actually, there were a couple of instances where family members, years ago, of course, told me, yeah, she is really into you. I don't know what you're talking about. So after that relationship had come and gone, the person came to me and was like, you really hurt me. And I felt bad. And I'm like, well, damn, was I not paying attention, or was I just like a lot of men? When we were together, we were together. But when we weren't together, I more than likely had my eye on somebody else. So you didn't have my undivided attention, in that said relationship. Because for instance, men and women, I think, have a different view on dating. We look at dating differently than women do. I think a lot of women think dating is exclusive, but a lot of men is like,
well, that's the way it used to be.
Well, we gonna get to that, because there has been there's been a turn, and I got something for that too. But for me, I think the one thing that I look back on is, and I can't blame it on being young, but at the same time, I'm like, I've learned that you really have to be in tune with folks when you in relationships with them, because there are signs. There are signs. We got to notice some signs. And I did find a study, because now I think is a good time to segue into that. When it comes to relationships, men and women, who is heartbroken the most? B.
My guess would be men.
Carl?
Men.
Okay. A lot of people think that it would be women, but I found a study.
Interesting.
It's like 2020, 2021. They had over 184,000 volunteers for this study. And they found that when it came to, and the study was basically about breakups, there were a majority of men who were just heartbroken.
Yeah, I believe that.
And what that comes to now is in I guess when you think about it, you got some crazy brothers out here, men all over the place that for whatever reason, when the relationship is done, they can't take no, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, yeah, that's one side of it. I think for the study though, and I've seen a couple of, well, I don't know if they were like character studies or whatever it is, but like they were on talking to men and saying things like, do you have, a true love? And it was at least 2 or 3 men who were like, yeah, I do. And they were like, well, talk about it. Is that your wife or did you marry? It's like, nah, we dated, we were friends. I expressed myself and they said, okay, it's nice, but I just really want to be your friend. And I think a lot of times that's where the man's heartbreak comes from. Because here's the thing. Men, you know, through societal and through nature and everything, we're going to be the pursuers. We
Yep.
find a woman and say, I like her. I want to pursue her. And you'll do whatever it is. And the woman might be like, oh, yeah, you're a nice guy. We'll go out, yada, yada, yada. And then when you say, you know what, I really want to, you know, I love you. Or what? And she goes, yeah. You
There's
know,
more to that. Yeah.
it's like, exactly.
I like you as
I
a
like
friend.
you as a friend and you're a great person, but you know, you don't fit inside, and this is the woman's side of it. You don't fit inside my picture of my forever dude. You don't meet the criteria for whatever it is. And I think that when men do, you know, we're supposed to do the picking. When we pick the wife or pick the mate and they don't pick you back, you know.
Yeah.
You know, Teddy Pendergrass said it, not 70-30, not 60-40.
Talking about a 50-50.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's what I think. Now what you talking about with the Crazy Brothers?
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Well, I mean, I think in some instances though, you know, because I watch a lot of Snapped. Crime shows and
You should have got a clip to air and put on the
listen,
screen.
man, I'm just saying there's some crazy folks. But a lot of times
I watch Fatal Attraction, so you know
people that they're in relationships with, and then the relationship ends, and they call it graveyard love. You know, if I can't have you, nobody can. So
I was about to say,
I'm gonna kill you.
That? Oh.
You know,
yeah,
but
that's that old school talk right there. Because my aunt used to say that.
See, you know, and
keep that.
So what happens when you can't get over that heartbreak? You know. And B, I'm looking at you only because we got a lot of these younger cats coming up that, you know, they're getting violent. They can't take no for an answer. I remember one time, Carl, this was back in the 80s, downtown on the riverfront. And this guy was trying to holler at this young lady. And she rebuffed him, said no. And he told one of his male friends, man, go over there and slap her. Guy went over, slapped her. And I'm just like, I can't believe this.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, and that's it. And even further on, I remember when I got back from the military and I was, So I told Carl, look, I'm trying to catch up on all the clubbing I didn't do before I went to the military. So we was out.
Bible study.
We went to a club one time, Carl, and I remember after the fact, I was talking to this young lady thinking I'm getting my game on. I said, well, let me get your number. She's like, well, no, let me get yours. And afterwards, I remember asking you, I said, well, man, when the women start getting your number? And you didn't even break stride. You was like, oh, no, they do that now so you can be the one at home waiting on them to call. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, damn, the tide is turning. Because now, if you out there and you dating fellas, some of these women are cutthroat.
Stay strong, my friends.
Stay strong. It is, whew.
But I think it comes from either heartbreak that they've experienced or they trying to avoid it. Like I said, they've seen their girls go through and it's like, yep, nope, that ain't me.
Fair. That's a fair point. You can be traumatized from somebody else's trauma. So
absolutely.
So B, let me ask you then, man, in your generation, do you guys even, you and your boys, do you all even talk about stuff like this? Or is this an unwritten rule?
I think it kind of is an unwritten rule until you see somebody not quote unquote bleeding, but you can see the signs like, hey man, what's going on? You know, you see the post on social media like, man, this woman, you know, you take the subtle hints and then you kind of dive in to see about it.
On social media, it ain't too subtle.
Well, you know, I'm going to secret.
It's a reactionary social media post like that. I'm in these streets.
You know, when a man, you know, because we're generally quieter on social media, and then you know your buddy's broken up, and I say I'll get in a breakup, and now I'm posting every day. You gonna figure out what's B up to. Mm-hmm. I'm throwing some hints like who want to go out. If I post who want to go to the movies. Yeah. But I think going back to the whole thing with the slap situation and guys just losing their cool, I think it starts at the male ego, right? We all have egos, and I think you pursue her, right? You go pursue a woman and you get the no, you're kind of, what do you mean no? Your ego's bruised. And if you don't have the right checks and balances up here to kind of address that, it is going to turn into, hey, I want to do damage to her. I can't understand that, but that is some people's mindset versus the, oh, it's a million other fish in the sea. I can just go over there. I see you itching at it.
No, because I don't think, I think you're right. But we don't, for whatever reason, men, we don't have the right coping mechanisms. Because I think it always turns to violence. And not necessarily violence against the woman, but it turns to like you start doing self-destructive things. So when you see, like you said, certain signs, you see your fellas going out, they at the bar all the time. Or they, smoking, drinking, eat more than usual.
Yeah, that one drink a week multiplies by 17.
Right. It's like something ain't right. And then you get to the bottom of it where it's like, yeah, on top of everything else, they might shoot in there. Yeah, she hurt me. But then it goes right back to
the car broke down. I got
yeah.
Oh, I ain't never heard that. I mean, comments like that I've always thought were, internal, where you have to come to grips with, yeah, she hurt me, because I don't think I've heard it.
I've heard it.
Well, I've heard
but
it's different wordings.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah. Because it was some other.
That's generally how you.
She was
that
a few other words.
That person upset me.
And hurt was a few other words, but it still got to. She was, I'm hurt. You got the feeling that I'm hurt. Mm-hmm. Now, you put on top of that, I'm about, one of the old sayings, best way to get over somebody is to get on top of somebody else, type of thing.
Never heard that one before.
So you get a lot of that behavior, but it comes from a place of hurt.
And even with that, all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid over it, because, you talk about, people that are hurt. You got the lingering pain from the relationship, difficulty moving on, or Carl, to your point, getting with somebody else. Well, that's not really going to help you if you haven't gotten over what just happened, because then what you're doing is bringing that baggage into this new situation. And even when you have people that say, I'm good, if you have a close friend, they not good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
but then do you take it upon yourself to say, hey, man, you want to talk about it? Or do you just wait for them to come to you?
I think you got to extend it, but not push. Especially with us, because I think you don't want to pry, because that's a sensitive matter. But if you leave the door open, I think eventually they might be receptive to it.
But if you cool, like you and I can have a conversation like that. And most men, if it's something that I say that, offends you, at some point, you'll see the truth in it. And you'll be like, you know what, man, you're right.
Yeah.
Women, y'all don't do that. But anyway.
That's a different episode.
I think that helps, because if you tell me something that you see, and if I don't agree with it or what, but at some point I come around, then I'm thinking to myself, this really is my boy, because he saw me going through, and he's trying to do, something to help. Because a lot of times we need some real tough love, when it comes to relationships, because if you see something in a relationship of mine that I don't see, and once it's gone, you bring it up, I'm not going to say, man, why you ain't say nothing to me at the time? I'm going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
And then at that point, use it as a teachable moment. You use it as a learning opportunity. And I think, Carl, when we go back to, how do you learn from heartbreak, then it's a couple of different things. Self-reflection is one, because at some point you got to look in the mirror and say, well, damn, what did I do? Because blaming everybody else, that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
I think that
accountability.
One of the good things, though, and I've seen this, and this is just through observation. I don't know if stats will back it up or not, but I think that the older you get, the more honest you get. So if you did have somebody and I would include your age group in this. I mean, this is teenagers, early 20s. You're not gonna tell your boys how you feeling. You're not gonna express yourself that she hurt me or I'm going through something. And
yeah, fair. Yeah, true.
But if somebody was to approach you, as you get older, like, man, you all right? What happened with this? You're gonna be honest. Now, you may not get in depth. You may not want to, going to a whole counseling session. But at least you'll be honest. And then, yeah, you said, Eugene, you're gonna get some. You'll be able to take some feedback. You'll be able to take some feedback and say, okay, well, even if you say, well, I don't agree with that, but whatever, But you'll at least accept it without getting angry. Early on, you ain't gonna do, because you're still trying to find your way. You're still trying to, be macho and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
the older you get, you'll start looking around like, yeah. And here's the other thing too. The older you get, when you start trying to jump in and out of relationships, and like you said, you're gonna bring the baggage from your previous one and say that. Well, guess what? She got baggage too.
Yeah.
And you start mixing all these different relationships and past hurts and triggers, and you do something like, well, she might say, well, you want to go out tonight? No, I don't want to go out tonight. You don't ever want to go nowhere. It's like, wait a minute, what?
This chick is crazy.
Like, but she's bringing it into like the last relationship. They didn't do nothing, and she wants to go out. And you're like, where's this coming from? And it's all that kind of stuff. Or she said, oh, these shoes are nice. I ain't spending no money on you. Well, the last chick broke him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a lot of stuff that happens, the older you get and bringing into the relationship that you don't want. Again, you're trying to avoid that heartbreak.
Agreed.
And that's one of the things too that I found some helpful suggestions. Like I said, self-reflection is one, but Carl, to your point, understanding red flags. When you look back on these heartbreaks, you see stuff,
boy,
and you got to know what to look for, that you saw or didn't pay attention to in the early relationship. And when you see it, run for the hills, because them red flags, they're there for a reason, so you definitely can't, dismiss those. Setting boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. So, for instance, one of them I thought about is yelling. Some people don't like yelling. I don't like yelling. I don't like, I don't. And it puts me in a different mindset. I start thinking about the military and, hey, shut up.
See, triggers.
Hey.
There you go.
And you have to develop resilience too, better equip yourself to handle challenges in relationships, finding ways to blow off steam. Nobody is perfect, so you're going to have challenges in relationships. But I think, these are some things that we, have to look at for ourselves, because ultimately you can't keep, taking stuff into new relationships, because at some point you're going to get tired of blaming everybody else. You're going to run out of reasons. Well, she had big feet. Well, she got big feet too. Well, guess I don't like big feet. Well, you got to figure that out and just make sure next time you with somebody, she ain't a size 10 or above. I'm just
looking under the table.
Big feet. Now, and see, you get to be an old man alone.
So I don't know. Who do you be when you think about, relationships and heartbreak? What would be your advice to somebody and they came to you and say, man, look, she broke my heart. I don't know what to do.
Ooh. That's a big one. Well, oh man, because I've talked to some friends about that, and I try not to have the rougher approach to it, but I've heard it's a little tough.
What's the rough approach?
But my thing is like,
you would tell them, get over it. This brother here.
No, I didn't even say it yet. But my thing is like, okay, you didn't die, right? See, it's not get over it. You're still living, right?
What that sound like to me? You ain't dead.
But hear me out. The relationship is ended, right? And hopefully it's not a situation where it's like children, finances are involved. Hopefully it's just a clean break and it's just the heartbreak thing you're looking at, right? So you're already at the positive, somewhat positive. There's like not children involved and finances involved. If that's involved, different scenario. But I'm just looking at the 2 single people broken up, heartbroken. My best advice for that is you got to look at it clear as mud. You're still alive. She didn't kill you. Nothing like that.
Jeez.
I'm getting to the other stuff too. You just make it sound like I'm just get over it, stupid. But so once you have
somewhere.
Once you have that basis, I think then my next approach is you need to take some time to yourself, right? Because you were saying a lot of people say, oh, I can get over this by getting under her. No, that does not work. Temporarily, maybe it's a little dopamine hit, but dopamine wears off. So then my next step is take some time to yourself, because when you're in that relationship that broke your heart, you didn't have time for yourself. So now you can get back to yourself. I don't know, get some new hobbies, productive and not going to the bar every night, good stuff, healthy coping mechanisms to kind of process yourself through. And then it's the reflecting, because it's not a death, but you are mourning the presence of somebody in your life. So eventually you got to look in the mirror or think to yourself, okay, X is not part of my life anymore. I have to understand that and process that in a healthy way. Don't go to her house with the boombox or text her 3,000 times, So that's the next part. You got to mourn and grief that. People would do that.
Yeah, I know.
So
Lord,
you got to get through that grieving process too. And if you don't, you're like you were saying earlier, you're going to be caught up on it.
the one thing that I heard you say that I am just a big advocate for is healing. Personally, been through past relationships where I didn't allow myself to heal
Mm-hmm.
and prematurely moved on to something else. That right there turned into a dumpster fire every time. But the problem that I found, Carl, was that I didn't know what the appropriate time for healing was. Is it 2 months? Is it 6 months?
There is no prescribed
and that's
time.
just it. So
It's
how
you.
do you get to the point? Because personally, I feel like when you go through heartbreak, I think it's always going to be with you. You just have to, in order to deal with it, you have to compartmentalize it, put it in its proper place. Because for the people that I know whose heart they broke, I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
And there's not enough apologizing in the world. Once I realize there's not enough apologizing in the world. But I think that it's healthy to have that in the back of your head, like, okay, I know I did this, but I don't want to go down that road again.
But see, you're talking about grief, you're talking about healing. Do you actually recognize that that's what this is when you're going through it? Or is
No.
it just, and see, that's the
yes
issue.
and no, yeah. Some
I
people
don't think
just
that people look at it. I mean, until you kind of said that, and we were saying it today, I never thought of it as like a grief or a stage of grief, where you've lost something.
Yeah.
And people grieve, of course, the loss of a loved
funeral,
one.
but that's a stage
People
as well.
grieve the loss of a job even,
Mhm.
because it was like, I poured a lot into this. But a lot of times in terms of, and I mean, if marriages get dissolved, particularly if they've been a long marriage, yeah, could be a grief period there too, where it's like, I put a lot into this. But
Yeah.
if it's like a breakup, let's say you've been with somebody for, a year or less, but you really like the person, they didn't feel the same way, unrequited. And you say, okay, well, that's over. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Like you said, there should be a period of self-reflection, and I guess first identify that there is a grief period. Identify that you do need healing. And then kind of do some self-reflection and say, well, was it me? Was it her? Was it, what happened here? And what can I do different? Did I do everything I should have done? Did I pick the right person? A lot of times that's the thing too.
Yeah, and that goes back to the red flag issue, because I feel like if you avoid, and I know it's hard to do because I was the red flag champion when I was younger, but if you
Wait a minute. The red flag. Please explain that. The red flag champion.
So I was younger,
This dude 29 talking about he was younger.
It was a
He's
time.
also-
Well, it was the younger 20s, and then the now.
Okay.
So back in my younger 20s, I used to like the red flags, but now,
Oh, you thought it was exciting.
yeah, it was fun.
See?
It
See?
was fun.
Well, I'm glad you figured it out now.
Exactly. So, but that's
She look crazy. I like that. Okay. Hey.
look.
I mean,
Slashing your tires and throwing paint at your front
no,
door.
but some people like that drama
Yes,
though.
it is.
Some people
it's
do
like, and it's
not
like a
necessarily
roller coaster.
that drama, but even that
Yeah.
drama, they like that.
So in that instance, though, let me ask this real quick, B. Do you, and actually I can ask you too, Carl, do you choose the person or does the person choose you? Because if you got red flags and you know that those red flags are there, maybe it's something in you that attracts that type of person.
Good point. And I think about that. I think there's geez, I forgot what it was. But who man. Which it's like a magnetism thing. You kind of attract that. So like seeking the red flags, you have red flags yourself. And I think I can't remember the exact terminology, but it's like a magnetism. It kind of pulls itself to it. So the red flag I was dating at age 23, I had a lot of red flags myself, which made that just kind of pull itself together. If you put us in a room today, wouldn't happen. But I think like there's some reflection and learning and growing we got to do to where we go, okay, I don't like these red flags. I don't have these red flags myself. Because yes, that person had red flags, but me going into that relationship, I was doing X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, stuff I shouldn't have been doing, which made that person say, hey. And then I said the same thing. And then, I don't know, whenever it ended, I'm all upset, heartbroken. And then I can reflect on that now, like, yeah, buddy, you shouldn't have been in that in the first place. But like we were saying, the red flags are kind of fun, but in the long term, it's not fun because you end up upset.
I've never liked drama. I mean, and not to say that your red flags is like you said, a slashing of the tires or busting out the
Oh
windows.
no, I had other things.
So, but I've never liked drama. I don't like arguing in public. I don't like. I mean, and you see cats that like that. They, it's a little spicy. I like my woman a little spicy. And yeah, I'm not. That's not my thing. Now I do like them to have a little attitude, but that's a whole nother. That's okay. That's my red flag.
Attitude.
I said that to somebody. They was like, "You like mean women?" No, I didn't say mean.
You said attitude.
I said a little attitude. You ain't got to smile all the time. I don't want no chick that's always happy.
Medium spice.
Yeah, people think you're crazy if you're smiling all the time.
That's
That's just my opinion.
What you so happy for?
Exactly. Why are you happy all the time?
Crazy.
What you happy for? Yeah, but no, I need you to have a little. So maybe that's my red flag. But when you, I guess, to avoid having issues down the road, you kind of have to recognize, again, self-reflection. Know what you like, what you don't like, and don't try to say, "Well, she a little extra, but I can deal with that." Nah.
Yeah, don't do
Because
that.
it never gets better.
And
it gets
that's
worse.
what I was gonna say.
It
The
gets
older
worse.
you get, because and I'm got friends. I'm married, thankfully, but my friends who are single at my age and are dating, you talk about, and I've said this to a couple of them. You got a whole life. You've got like 2 lives actually. The woman you meet is gonna have at least 2 lives. You got some people, and we're in our 50s. You got, I got friends that are grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
You're meeting women who have their grandparents. Now, we still in our 50s, and we, they can say 50 is the new 30 and all that kind of stuff. We still out here. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool, but you got you've experienced a lot, and she's experienced a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you a red flag is going to be quite different at this age and at this level.
Agree. Yeah,
because different triggers are going to happen, and it's like, okay, I can't just discount this person because they got mad that I didn't call them at 10 o'clock like I said I was, because they might have all kind of trust issues from Johnny and Jimmy and whomever. So you kind of have to talk through that.
And that's the thing too, Carl, because you come up to, for me, I'll put that in the category of deal breakers. There are things that you can deal with, things that you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you set those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like crazy, then get ready, because there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah,
for me,
no boundary to that.
I've never been
the limit does not exist.
the one to, I don't think seek out a certain type. I've always felt like I attract a certain type of female. When somebody told me, yeah, you same type, and I'm like, no.
That's peculiar.
That's interesting. Yeah.
My wife is wonderful. Love you, babe. The one thing that I see though is that there have been instances going back, and I've had friends who've gone through this, heartbreaks, but they've gone back. So if somebody breaks your heartbeat and they come back, you know what? My fault. I messed up. Let's try this again.
Guilty. I did that too.
See?
I lived a lot of lives in my 20s. But
you got more to live, brother. I'm telling you. You're going to have about 3 by the time you in your 50.
So you went back, or they came and told you, I want you back? I mean,
it was like, it was a lot going on. I was going back and they was going back. We was going back and then we wasn't going back. You know how it goes, the roller coaster thing. But it's that I learned from that, of course. Not doing that no more, thank Jesus. But I learned it's like a toxic cycle that has these highs and lows. When the lows are horrible, but the highs are high. So you're like, yay, whoopee. And you get caught on those highs. But that high is not permanent. And once, it's like Jenga, once one thing comes out, it just crashes down to the low. And it's that cycle.
So you had heartbreak in this?
Yeah.
In it or at the end of it?
Man, it was like, if I could make a chart, it came over here, went well. Heartbreak was down here. Then we somehow intermingled back up, got good down here. It was yes. So,
sir, let me ask you, during all of that, was there anybody that was telling you, hey man, don't do it? Because I did I've done it at times.
I was going to say, be honest, because I'm looking at you.
Towards this part of the chart, yeah.
Mhm.
Because I was quiet. Because, I keep stuff private. But then I said, you know what? I'm going through some stuff. And they was like, oh, you need to be there no more. And I was like, yeah, you right. And then I went back when I shouldn't have did that. But it's hard because, and that was one of my red flags, and I learned to process that now because I looked at it as like, I'm not a quitter. So even though this is horrible, I'm not going to quit.
I'm seeing through.
That was my red flag. That was, I thought I was being commendable, But that, again, that was one of my red flags.
It's only in the Lifetime movies, man.
Yeah, and now, like I said, that's one of my red flags because I looked at it before. It's like, okay, I'm with this woman. I'm going to stick it through. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Still trying to stick it through. And eventually, now at this stage of my life, I've ditched that habit. But that was something I had to learn and process through because I'm like, self-inflicted damage, hurting myself, heartbreaking myself because I'm trying to stick it out. And of course, some people warn me, like my mom. Hey, mom. She was like, you need to stop. And I was like,
See, she saw the destructive behavior that her baby was going through.
Yeah, she didn't want me to end up on a milk carton.
Damn.
So Jesus.
Oh,
so let me,
you.
no, I want to ask this too. So for her, was that her expectation of a relationship? Because some people, again, looking at red flags, some people think that's the way it's supposed to be, up and down and roller coaster and around and break up to make up and all that kind of stuff.
Because I can't speak for that person. My best guesstimate was, best guess was I was supposed to do what they wanted, and I wasn't. That's my best guesstimate.
So do you know if that's what she grew up?
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Was that her background? Is that like a model of a relationship?
Well, the answer is that there were no models. It was up here. Another story.
She was just flying by the seat of her pants, and she had these unrealistic expectations, I see.
Delusion.
Well, he did too.
Yeah, that's...
And now I'm here.
I mean, you my boy, but
Yeah. Hey, I learned so other people don't have, like you were saying, I went through the things so other people don't have to.
You just driving fast in the car and damn a seatbelt. All right.
Not anymore.
I have never, though, now that I think about it, had the opportunity to support somebody that was going through. And I said, hey, this is what you need. I think for me, Carl, I've always looked at it to where I see something, and unless it's just, earth shattering, I'm like, okay, they'll see it at some point. And then once it happens and they come, hey, such and such, I can honestly say, I've never said, well, I saw that. I'm just internally saying, oh, yeah, sorry. So, I mean, have you ever been in a situation where you felt like, you should say something to somebody? Did you?
No. Yes, I've been in those situations. Did I say
'Cause
something?
I could think of a time when you should have said something to me. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. And I wasn't.
He was going
I
to.
wasn't going. But no, here's the.
See,
Yes, I've seen that in situations.
Eugene.
No, I didn't say anything because Brandon just sat here and said his mama told him to get out. And he said, yeah, whatever, ma.
And yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of times
So
when you get that, what you gonna do with that information?
what you gonna do with that information?
Were you gonna listen?
It's gonna do what you just said. I'm gonna circle back later and say, yeah, you told me.
I think it depends on who it's coming from. I mean, for me, anyway, and my mom, God rest her soul, she never advised any of her kids, me and my siblings, on relationships.
Okay.
But once it was over, oh yeah, I knew it was gonna happen.
Same. I can say the same.
So, yeah. And again, I don't think I've ever had anybody come to me and say, hey, such and such. Yeah, you might not want to do that.
I don't think it matters the person, really. I just don't think it matters the person. When you're in it, because you're going to have a certain level of, I'm not a quitter. I can make this work. Ego is going to kick in, and then
it'll just go away.
Yeah. Or the other part is, for me, it's like, and we've talked about this before, I tell you, and then you say, yeah, you right. And then the next time we see you, you still with the person. Now I got an attitude because you done told me everything that you going through, but y'all still booed up.
You ain't taking my advice.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what was my talking for? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've got vested in this relationship now.
You the third wheel.
Yeah, I'm the third wheel. And and y'all, man, no, it's all good. It's all good. We worked it out. But last week you said you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I'm not gonna say anything when it's happening. Will I observe things? Yeah. I mean, at this point in my life, what I'll do is, if you tell me something, like I said, people have come to me and said, I'll ask more questions. I'll let you talk it out. It's
so Carl's taking the therapist route.
I'm gonna take the therapist route. I told you I watch too much TV. I need to go to therapy. We be sitting there asking each other questions.
Just going back
what you think? No, what you think?
That's a good question. What do you think? But I'll ask more questions like, well, can you is this something you can live with? Is this something you can, do you think y'all can work it out? And if you say, well, yeah, we can work it out. Okay. Well, what else I'm gonna say? I'm not gonna get too far into the weeds because, like I said, I'm not gonna get invested, and then you do what you're gonna do anyway.
So even if it's a good friend, family member, somebody you really care about, because I'm guessing that's probably the only way that you even be having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. B, let me ask you then, do you think that ultimately you can not only learn from heartbreak, but get over it? Or are you always having that be a part of your life?
You can learn from it. I think so. I think it's a good teacher because, like, taking back the red flag example, of course, you're not looking at your red flags or said person's red flags. So, okay, you can learn from that in your breakup process time. And then I think you can get over it if you take those steps properly and carefully. You can't just, okay, I broke up with her, I'm about to go out with this chick tomorrow, and that never happened. I'll take my personal experience, what I did with a breakup and be able to move on. I took time to myself. I didn't determine how much time it was because I feel like that varies per person.
Mm-hmm.
If you that type of person, it could be a week. I don't know if you're built that way. It could be 2 years. And I'll be funny and transparent. I even looked on Google. How long does it take to get over a breakup?
This joker went on Google.
But look, you find some interesting. There's Reddit. There's Quora. I was like, all types of things.
Okay, let me ask this though.
Go ahead.
When you said it wasn't, you didn't determine a time frame. Let's say you say, I'm gonna take some time to myself.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, you're approached by a young lady.
Good example. Okay.
Do you say, I'm not?
So yeah, that was my situation. I had this breakup that happened. Let's say it was summertime. So I was like, okay, it's summer. I'm not gonna invest or look at anything. But I guess people are like, oh, Brandon is single. I got a friend. So for a while, I kind of stalled it off, because I knew like, okay, I'm 2 weeks out of this relationship. I'm not ready to be in front of somebody else right that. So I just stalled it off until I felt like, okay, I'm ready to put my foot in the pool. And again, that's going to vary for different people, right? So until I felt that I was personally ready to be, okay, I can dip my feet in the pool and get around another woman and experience that without thinking about, oh, I'm still heartbroken or upset about my last relationship. So I got to myself to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm not in that damaged mode where I feel okay to be like, okay, let's try this out with somebody new. And that's a couple months for me. And again, I also feel like you've got this inner voice that lets you know, like, this is okay to do and this is not okay. So you really need to listen to yourself.
Everybody listen to that voice.
Well, that's why people be getting their heart broken because they don't listen to your gut.
Yeah, you listening to them hormones.
Yeah,
because
we got two brains.
So he said summertime too. Ain't nobody listening.
Sundresses. Wait a minute, now. So I mean, to your point on that though, B, you come out of a relationship. You figure you need time to heal. Does that mean you just can't be around another female, or you're not looking to get into a relationship? Because there is a difference.
Yeah, you can be around women, but I just kept it as I'm not. Of course, if this person is interested in me, we can talk, communicate, but I can't start
talk. Okay, that's what they call it now. All right.
I was texting this
man. Ain't nobody texting. You grown now,
but you know she interested.
I had to get back in the pool.
But ain't you? And that's the thing. I don't want to. When you ask the question, have you broke anybody's heart? I don't want to play with nobody's emotions like that.
I texted a girl for a couple of days. I didn't break her heart, Carl.
You don't know.
Anyway, that was me being,
friendly.
Yeah, there you go. So okay. I was in the pool. That's where it was.
But I'm gonna go back to the middle school days. She had liked it you, and you had.
We grown, Carl. Ain't nobody liked him.
Okay. I mean, but I don't see, quite honestly, a problem with that. If you come out of a relationship and you say, okay, use time to heal, but at the same time, you know what, if somebody looking at me, don't mean I'm trying to get into a relationship with them. That just means that we grown. If we want to do what grown folks do, hey, but you need to understand.
Breaking hearts.
But that's just it though. You get that understanding up front.
And there's transparency too. Like how can I word this? So women I'm dating now, we were friendly in my single area. And I was upfront and transparent, like I'm just getting out of this situation. So it was she was made aware that I was freshly out of something. So with that layer of transparency, where was communications work, she's like, are you over that? Are you still communicating with her? So I'm doing these things and I was not communicating with my ex. I was done with her and being friendly with her at the time. So she knows that she's not running a risk of getting her heart broken because I'm not talking to her, still dealing with my ex-girlfriend.
So she was cool just laying in the cut, waiting for you to get yourself together.
I don't know. But
we're
together. Well, you should. Hell, you there?
That's why
I don't know her exact game plan, but we are together now, and it's all wonderful.
Well,
shout out to her.
There it is.
But it just happened naturally. That's the best way I can put it. Because she had just got out of something at the time, so we were both like.
So she was chilling in the cut.
So then, and here's the one I just thought about this question. So if you come out of a relationship and you've had your heart broken and you figure, okay, I've healed, I'm good. You meet somebody, they like you, you like them, but they say, you know what, I've had my heart broken and I'm a little leery about getting into a relationship. Do you even give that person the time of day?
If you want to, but again, it's that whole transparency thing. They made that knowledge available to you because a lot of times people won't, just string you along. So I take that as a plus positive that they were even vulnerable enough to say something like that. But then you got to say, okay.
I think that's a red flag, though.
Yeah,
because
that's where I'm going.
I would have to say, you ain't got over your thing yet, so I don't think
it goes back to my example, like where I was transparent, where like I'm over it, I'm not ruminating on it. So you got to do those checks too.
Yeah, because you be in a situation, you mess around and wake up dead. So I'm not.
Yeah. So now if it's
wouldn't
the
advise
situation as
anybody.
a man where it's like, okay, I just got to break up. My ex is banging at my door every other day. No, don't like you said, save your life.
But if the shoe was on the other foot, a lot of men wouldn't tell this new female that they haven't gotten over the ex. Now, we dumb enough to where they would pick up on it, because if you still talking about her, you know, every time you turn around, yeah, she used to do this, that, and the third. Then the new young lady would be like,
Yeah, there's signs.
There's
Yeah, I
something.
think there's signs that'll
But
tell.
if they don't pick up on them signs,
I think I would, though. When you say not tell, I think that would be my response if a woman was to say, you know, I'm just getting out of a relationship and I was kind of hurt. I would respond, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Me too.
Yeah, and I think, and that's how it should go.
But see, like you just said, it might be a red flag to her. She might say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this." Okay, so then
what's a million fish in the sea?
We can get it together right now, or we can, you know, work things out, take things slow, and work it out together. Now, again, I'm married, but you know, I'm
we got friends though.
We got friends.
We got single friends.
Real. And I'm just saying that. And I've talked to a couple of my single friends who are back into the dating pool now, you know, in their 50s. And they've said that I can go out here and have a different woman every day if I want, because it's women out here just looking for and all age ranges too. It's just, you know, it's out here. However, neither one of them are looking for that. They're looking for, and I'm just thinking about two in particular. They're looking for somebody to partner with.
Yeah, we're not meant
and
to be alone.
And be in a committed long-term relationship with. But again, what does that look like when both, you know, you've had your heart broken for sure, because I know they have. And then you're dealing with the woman who, again, unless she's, well, I don't even care if she's in her 20s, you know. And if you in your 50s and you deal with somebody in their 20s, then that's a whole nother show.
That's between you and that medication.
That's a whole nother, right? Because
they got all types of stuff now.
They got it, yeah.
Man, okay.
But when you done doing all that, what you gonna talk about? Because, you know,
had them crayons ready.
Exactly. So it's just one of them things where I think at that point, everybody's dealing with some form of heartbreak. It just depends on, like you said, have you gotten over it? Have you processed it? Have you had time to grieve? Have you had time to yourself, to learn yourself? And then if you've done those things and then you come together, then you can have a healthy relationship. But if you getting out of one, going to another one.
You know, I think it's important that when we're talking about heartbreak, coming out of relationships, that healing process, to me, it has to involve a certain measure of optimism in terms of, okay, I know I'm hurting from this relationship. I'll get over it. There's something else down the road for
that's
me.
Why I told my friend you didn't die. You still
That's
alive.
Not the same, though.
Okay, I'm just too hard on people.
You could have just said, bruh, somebody.
He said it a little bit better.
Yeah, somebody's out here for you, because I do ultimately, I think that that's the case. You know, we'll find somebody. You will find somebody. Now, you know, I can't say when, but that's why you do the self-reflection. You know, you take classes, get a hobby, so on and so forth. You know, surround yourself with positive people, not somebody that's always trying to hook you up, because I've been down that road too back in my single days, and that's the worst. You've gone through it, so yeah. But people think, and hell, Carl, we go through it now with, you know, wives trying to hook us up with other husbands and stuff.
Play dates with the.
Yeah, you know.
But I think ultimately, though, you know, again, going through heartbreak, everybody goes through it, and however you handle it, that's how you handle it. But there are good ways to go through it. Like we said, we talked about self-reflection. We talked about setting boundaries, you know, looking for those red flags and saying to yourself, I'm not going down that road again. You know, so family, I think that, you know, if you guys have learned nothing else, just know that everybody goes through heartbreak. You can definitely learn from it, you know, and we're here to do our part in terms of helping, you know. So again, we always like to thank you guys for watching. Check us out on the YouTube channel, share it, like it, drop comments in, subscribe to it, and again, we like to say, at the end of the day, stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. See you guys next time.